On this episode of Pop Culture Junkie, we are super excited to welcome Jason Swarr, owner of Terror Trader, Arizona's only year-round horror marketplace.
Fill me up with a barrel full of monkeys, as I hate being bored, I hate being bored. Load me up cause I'm such a junkie, every day all I want is more. So entertain me right now. So entertain me right now.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Pop Culture Junkie, recording as always from Olympus Games in Mesa, Arizona. I'm Nicole, and with me here are my fellow junkies,
Alex,
Shauna,
and Hayley.
And today we have an awesome guest, Jason Swarr, owner of Terror Trader in Chandler, Arizona.
that sounded really good. Actually, you're getting really good at that, by the way.
I respect the commitment.
I feel like we always have to say it that way now.
Yeah.
I am so spooked right now.
Good. By my face, I know.
Oh,
It's scary.
come on.
No, I'm just joking. In addition to that, Jason is also a podcaster hosting the Creepcast podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank
Jason.
you, guys. Thank you so much for having me on. It's nice. I'm out of the crypt and into Olympus Games here. This is a really cool place. First time I've been in here as well. And I'm honored. I'm on the show. So thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks
Very
for coming.
excited.
Yeah, so
I know I'm a huge scary movies fan.
Nice.
So I'm very excited to have you here today.
Okay. All right. I'm making friends already. This is good. This is good.
Yeah, so I want to ask about, you just did this Sales from the Dark Side event.
Yes.
How was it? How did it go? Tell everybody, like, if they're unfamiliar with Terror Trader, like, what is your store and what are these events all about?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll start with the store. So for some reason, we're the fifth largest city in America, right? Phoenix proper, I guess you want to say. And we don't have anything where it comes. We have an oddity shop here and there, but until like Spirit Store comes in, which is, no offense, Spirit Store, but it's kind of cheap,
Yeah.
Oh, for
Halloween props and stuff like that. And it's good for the seasonals, or whatever. But for us year-rounders that just like, we love horror, we live and breathe it. We don't have anything. So I would go to California all the time, right? Spend all my money there. That long trip to Burbank to go see Mystic Museum, all the pop-ups they have there. And then finally, I have a crazy collection of dead things. So mainly skulls and human torsos and just weird stuff. I don't know why.
Do you want us to cut that out of the episode? Just, you have human torsos in
I'm
the fridge?
interested. It's like 100% legal. We're legal. I
Should you have admitted that on air?
It's like, we have Dexter here with us.
Yes. And so, like, great collection at home, but this is how it stemmed. One day my wife comes home, and on my kitchen table, there is a 300-year-old torso, human torso. And I'm just like, hey, check this out. And then it was like, we're done. You got to get a store. You got to do something. So
Yes.
You said human torso? Did we just skip through that?
no, you're correct. Yeah.
Human.
Yeah.
Like a human.
Yeah,
like-
300-year-old.
Yeah. And it's
I want to know their story.
You don't have one of those at home?
Why are they missing their?
well, they're dead, so they're cool. Man. A lot of these are actually out of Europe, so catacombs and stuff like that. But once again, 100% legal, by the way, because people come in like it's all secret. Like, oh my god, you got a human skull. I'm like, yeah, dude, it's fine. Like I'm doing something like
You got a human skull too.
Yeah, I know. In fact, we'll actually buy your human skull if you want. I'll give you 20% off the entire.
Donate it to Terror.
Yes, it was sitting in a nice glass case when you're dead, and you get 20% off it until you die. So that's pretty cool.
That's incredible.
Well, it's what we do. I'll also buy your soul. So anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. So, but I was like, yeah, okay, we need to do something with this. So I actually was going to get a booth at like one of these antique malls. Like I don't know, I'm not going to name it. Whatever. There's a couple out there, and I went there and they're like, well, it's an 8 month to a year wait to get in here. And I'm like,
Jeez.
wait a minute. And then my little light bulb came on my head, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So there's people waiting to get into, a brass armadillo or whatever is out here, these antique malls. I'm like, what if I just make an antique mall and just make it super spooky and just bring vendors in, same business model. And Terror Trader was born at that point, man. We went to Mad Monster Convention last year in June, July, I think it was. And it was kind of like, hey, is anybody interested in this? And within a day, we gathered, almost 2,000 emails. And just people were like, do it now,
That's
so
awesome.
we went back and we started building. So yes. So it's basically a horror marketplace all year round, filled with, inside the store, I think there's 50 vendors we have. It's about a 4,000 square foot spot. Pretty cool. super spooky stuff, the good stuff, right? And so, but we have like 55, 60 vendors that are waiting to get in. And I hate making people wait. People are, some of these vendors are amazing. They're just incredible people and make incredible stuff. And I'm like, I hate doing it. So Sales from the Dark Side came about. So it's basically a once a month pop-up, I guess. We used to do it in the parking lots. It was literally just section out the parking lots, totally illegal. Like I didn't know what I was doing, right?
That's the one illegal thing he'll admit to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there we go. Today, so far, we just started.
Admit to, yeah.
And then, so we just have like little night markets and day markets, and those started growing and growing. So now, this last 2 we did, I had to rent out an 8,000 square foot, old like thrift store, and as long as it had AC, because we are in Arizona. We are the toughest horror fans in the world. And I say that because when you cosplay in 110 degree heat, I heard your guys' Fan Fusion podcast, and you know the deal. It's
a little steamy.
It's tough, but you know what? It's like we had one last week, and it was 111 out, and it was we had the clouds rolling in, so it was actually a little bit humid for once here in Arizona. And oh my God, it was these cosplayers, man. I just wanted to hug them all, but I did. We just kind of just big wet hugs because it was so hot, even inside. But we're dedicated. So we throw these out once a month, and we had 55 vendors in there, tons of photo ops. Sometimes we bring in, some celebs and stuff like that for signings. So like it's a little mini convention, except it's free, 100% free. We don't charge. I want people to, if you're going to bring money, spend it on the vendors. Don't spend it on the cover charge and all that stuff. And I think that's a big draw, So
that sounds incredible, and I really want to go to the next one. That's
it's good because we actually have to. It was so big this last time. It was so big. I mean, we put thousands of people through. We had a little news spot. I guess the news actually seeked this out and said, "Hey, what are you guys doing? What's going on here?" So, come do a spot, and they did like 2 spots, and I guess that worked really well. Right. We probably a couple thousand people came through in 6 hours. So it was that packed. So I had to rent an 11,000 square foot one for our next one in August. Yeah. So it's which is cool. I'll keep growing it and all that stuff. But it's it's a chance for all us weirdos to get together and have fun, cosplay, and horror cosplay in the summer, right? You got Jason Voorhees, you got Freddy's, you got all types of people just running around, and it's, when I say blazing hot, but we don't care. We don't wait till October. So that's why we do it.
So Terra Trader has 50 vendors, and it's its marketplace.
Yes.
You have it open all year round.
Correct.
How do you find these vendors? Like, so I guess we're in Arizona, and I guess we're like the spookiest people there is.
That's right.
And did you have an application?
They seek us out. We started with 12, right? When we actually when we were at Mad Monster, we're just like, hey, you guys want to be in a shop? We'll give you a really good deal, to get in, just to get people in. And they were like, yeah, of course, because I look at it like, okay, so a lot of, everybody, we got COVID and all that stuff that, we went through the past couple of years. It's built a lot of people to do a side hustle. I always say, right? You're selling something, you're making something, you got
Starting a podcast.
Start a podcast, exactly, right? But it's stuff like that, and people have Etsy shops and and all these other whatever websites that go out there. But there's something about being in a brick and mortar, right? Mm-hmm. There's something like, hey, yeah, I got an Etsy shop, that's cool, but check it out. I'm also a Terra Trader, so at the same time, we have like 50 micro influencers. So everybody's like, really, it's kind of cool. They're bragging about their shops inside our shop, and it's awesome to us because now we're getting just all these people are so enthusiastic, and then they have their own cult following that follows, their shops and all that stuff. So the audience got built in, and then all of a sudden, artists talk, vendors talk, and it's like, hey, we're making good money here. Things are going great. And then, I want in, so that's how, and all of a sudden the list just keeps building and building.
When I was living in Boston, there was an antique kind of marketplace, very similarly set up. Like there's a bunch of different vendors inside of this basement, and, somebody would sell watches, another person would sell clothes, another person would sell paintings.
Yes.
How does it work at Terra Trader? What sort of different stuff do we see there?
Great question, because you're right. I mean, I didn't know what we were getting into, right? I didn't know who was going to come. We wanted to get a bunch of people selling human skulls or whatever, or is it all going to be earrings and stuff like that? So it's really diverse. I mean, there's something for everybody. If you just like 1930s, 1940s black and white horror, we got it. We got someone that, if you want serial killer, murderabilia, we got someone that does that, and it's my job to curate, I guess, Terra Trader. In other words, I have a certain amount of jewelry vendors, a certain amount of, artists that do paintings and all that. So there's enough for everybody, but if I'm not into that, that's not a big deal. I can find something else. I just want VHS. I got a whole VHS like video store. It's pretty cool. And then once again, we get I don't know, 50, 70 emails a day. People want to be in there. So expanding again and again and again.
Do you guys have like horror movie props and things in there too? Kind of, Mystic Museum has the spot where you can kind of look at things like a museum too.
They do. Yeah, we do. And like I said, I don't have Mystic Museum's money, which is awesome. They have some amazing things there, and they have once again they're in Burbank as well, so they have access to a lot of stuff. And
they're right next to movie studios.
Yes,
and, stuff. Exactly,
and so a lot of that's lent. Here you can use this, display it, and all that stuff. Unfortunately, we don't have that here, so a lot of it's our own personal collections and all that. Since like our oddities room, once again, you walk in there, there's I don't know, 40, 50 vintage Ouija boards on the walls. Once again, the dead bodies everywhere, which are, and all that stuff, which is pretty cool. And I even have cursed objects and stuff like that. So that's like my personal collection. And then I've had other collectors like, okay, that's pretty cool, but check out what I got. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is some weird satanic carved skull from Finland. I'm like, I'll take it. Let me just put it in.
So sick.
Yeah. So
torture devices. And
we
stuff,
do.
Yeah.
I just got one, by the way. So I
was just kidding.
No,
I was.
I got a torture boot, and I haven't even displayed it yet, so it's kind of cool. I'm going to
torture boot or booth?
Boot.
A torture booth. You go in and he'll torture you.
I'd be nice. I'd be like an Iron Maiden. No, it's
Come on, stop. Get me all hot in here.
It's a boot. It's from 16th century. I'm sorry, 15th century. Sorry, so 1600s. Am I doing that math right?
Sure.
Yeah. German, and it's a boot. It's a shame boot. So it looks like a super long metal boot you put on. Well, I can't fit it, but it's super narrow, so it already hurts your feet. And then on the heel is a spring with a little spike.
Nope.
So if you rock back on your heel, that spike goes into your feet.
Don't like that.
Yeah, and it's I guess it's not really to you kill anybody. It's just to shame you. You wear it for a week out in wherever wherever.
I'd rather just die.
Just kill me.
Right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, but people love that stuff. So we get weird stuff like that all the time.
So my brother discovered your store. He's a big horror fan, and he then took it upon himself to just in succession take every single member of our family to the store multiple times. So I went to one of the sales from the dark sides a few months ago. And what I thought was really cool about it, so I'm not super big into horror. I get grossed out really easily.
Right.
So I was like, what are you taking me to? Right? Like, why are we going? But what's cool is I do like Tim Burton and I like the X-Files and I like things that I would consider maybe terror adjacent.
Sure.
And there were plenty of things there that I was super into and a lot of vendors. So like, I thought it was really cool. And so like, I don't know, for anyone who might be like me and is maybe a little like squeamish, there's still going to be be cool stuff there.
We get that all the time. Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people, it's so great. Because I mean, the door is right by the counter or maybe the counter's right by the door. All right, whatever. Sorry, it's been a long week. And I always get that the door cracks open and you see a head pop in like, oh my God, what's going to pop out at me first? I'm like, all right, chill. You're all right.
You're safe here.
Yeah. I go, nothing's going to pop out at you. And they're like, well, I don't know if I really like horror. I'm like, well, what are you into? And then they'll say something like that. Oh, I watch Dexter. Gotcha. Okay, come on. And so I walk them to where they need to, the booth or whatever, and show them that because we do have. I want that range in our store. It was up to me, and this is the brilliant part of having a marketplace vice a Jason Swarr store because it would be just all weird stuff, right? Just cursed objects and stuff. The
oddities and stuff.
Yeah, I'd probably have 4 customers total, right? But it's this way I have different stuff, and once again, it's something for everybody, and it's so funny too. We'll get some. We'll have. We're in a community with a lot of Mormons, right? In which I guess I don't know the Mormon how that works or whatever, but I guess I don't know if they celebrate Halloween, but they pop in like I'm not supposed to be here, but I want to see this, and I'm like, oh, shuck, secret stay with me, come on in. So and they love it too, So it's kind of cool, Once again, it was something for everybody there, And I think everybody, regardless. I don't like horror movies. I hear that all the time, but people like something scary, and that's something about I get like. I don't like horror movies. What's the thing about horror? Why do you guys like it? Why do you like haunted houses? What do you do? I get this more from my father-in-law, right? He's an old Italian guy, just doesn't like anything, And I'm like, okay, valid point. I get you. But have you ever, let's just say, haunted house. Let's just throw that out there. And you get a jump scare, right? So all of a sudden someone scares you and you're just like, oh my God, you freak out. What's the next thing that happens? Right after that.
You laugh.
You smile and you laugh. Yeah. Thank you. So you get a nice adrenaline rush and then your body does this weird chemical reaction thing and it just always creates a smile.
Yeah.
Show me something else that does that. You know what I'm saying?
Super fair.
Something legal,
I'm
by
the
the
kind
way.
of person that cries.
Pees his pants.
When I've been in haunted houses, I'm like dodging punches from people.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're laughing and trying to hit me at the same time. Yeah.
Actually, I want to know like more about like how did you get into this whole scare thing? Like
Sure.
what got you like, oh my God, I love being scared all the time.
Yeah. Well, honestly, so I'm from West Virginia. I'm an old skate punk, man, you know, but, you know, and that kind of came in my teen years or whatever, but it was a video store. And this is, if you come to Territory, you go see the video store and you go inside. Okay. So we have a little mini, it's about as big as this room we're in here, which your listeners, you can't see the room, but
it's a good size room.
It's a nice little room, but
I can cartwheel.
Yeah, there we go. You can do one car wheel on it. So yeah, and so we purposely kind of like put that in there as an homage to how I got into horror. Back in West Virginia, there's a place that it's not there anymore, but it's called the Video Barn. Back in the 80s, I'm an 80s kid. I'm old. I'm like almost 50, right? So, as a kid, I remember going there with my older brother, who was like 3 or 4 years older than me. And we walk in this Video Barn. This guy had it all neoned out, man. It was it was all horror movie posters. And he had one little section, maybe 4 feet by 2 feet, that had mainstream new releases, you know, and I'm like, I'm going to that. The guy stopped me like halfway. He goes, I know you're here to see E.T. I'm like, yeah, I want to see E.T., man, you know. He goes, but check out Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And he hands me
They're
the box.
basically the same thing.
Yeah, right. He hands me the box and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? And I look at my older brother and he goes, I'll get it for you. I'm like, all right, let's do it. And that day I went home in my basement watching it by myself on VHS, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 74, right? And I'm like, I'm hooked. This is the most terrifying, disgusting. I love it. And I just, ever since that day, I just kept going back. And I was like that dude's best customer, you know. I was that shop around, hang around kid, you know. He's just like, oh God, here he comes. All right, what do you want to see today? Street Trash? All right, here, come check out Street Trash. He would just keep recommending.
Running out of movies.
Yeah, you know. So,
I wonder like the difference between like the kid that sees that and is like, oh my gosh, I'm hooked. And then me, the kid who sees Tim Curry's It and is like, I am going to die. Like,
yes.
I'm not going to sleep for 6 months and I never want to see anything like that.
You know, I was kind of that kid too. I would walk by Blockbuster and like they'd have the horror section and I wouldn't want to look because I would be so like nervous something scary would be on the box. Mm-hmm. And now I love horror movies.
Have you guys ever like fully watched at that age like a horror movie?
Oh yeah, It. Oh yeah,
okay.
That was my introduction to the genre.
Because I remember I have this little cousin, and when she was like 3 or 4, she was like watching these scary movies, and all she wanted to do was watch more and more.
Oh man!
Films. And I was like, "You're a child. How are you so into this right now?" Right now, she still loves it. But yeah, it gets me thinking. Like, I was confused as to why a child would be so enthralled by this sort of stuff.
One thing too is. Okay, these days, once again, hey, young kids, all right, whatever, you know, get off my lawn. No, it's so easy now to like, all right, I'll give this thing a shot. I'm popping on Netflix and 5 minutes and I'm done, right? Yeah. Where back in the day of video stores, we're all old enough to remember video stores, right? And so box art, right? It was all about the box art.
True.
That's what, you know, and that's why
what would scare me.
And then they would try to make the most scary, just jump off the shelf, whatever, box art to get you going. Now, 90% of those movies sucked. They were horrible. But you spent $3. And as a broke kid, $3 meant a lot to me, right? Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I don't know if I want to watch Toxic Avenger 4, but guess what? We're going to watch it. I spent my money on this. And then you end up watching all these old films. Sorry, getting the mics. But you keep watching all these films so that my library as a kid was so huge because, man, that money meant something to me. So, but now I'll find myself at home. It take me 3 hours to watch a movie because I'm just finding out that sucks. I'm going to do something else, you know? So I don't get to watch the really,
You're not
really
fully
bad
committed to it. Yeah.
So,
well, it seems like nowadays, like so many things that we watch are just rip-offs of other things. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like you're trying to find something original and you're like, John Carpenter did this already. Yes. I'm over it.
No, you're right. It's I say honestly, I think we're in one of the worst times right now. And once again, I'm old. I know, and I keep saying that I'm an '80s guy, right? But '80s was like the golden era of horror, right? I mean,
I would agree.
The slasher movements. You know, you
I wasn't there, but I like the movie.
But it doesn't matter. It's still to this day. It translates.
The fact that we're still watching them shows.
You know, I mean, and to not like this, and we've had lulls in the action. I always say, you know, throughout the years. Mid 2000s was pretty rough, you know. 90s was hit or miss, but you know, you had your screams and all that stuff, which was kind of cool. But and now I think we're still in a little like Netflix are putting, you know, I think they're pumping stuff out, and I blame I think COVID. I think everybody's behind a little bit right now. You know, so we got to start pumping out movies and then don't get me wrong. I never really look at a script and or I look at a story and be like, oh, this is horrible. And it's no, I mean I'm like, okay, it's a horror movie, but I still think that like they're pushing so much weird stuff in these things. It's like, man, just give me the formula is simple. Stupid kids in the woods getting killed. Partial nudity most of the time.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah, let's go.
Whoever has sex is gonna die.
They're gonna die. Do you have a horror movie that came out maybe in the last 5 years that you were like, this is good? This is good stuff?
I'm going to give you a big no on that.
I was going to say 5 years. That's not a long.
No,
Okay,
but you're
10,
right.
maybe 10
recent
years.
though.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been Let me come back to the controversy. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So James Wan with Conjuring, and of course it spawned to the Annabelle series, and then La Llorona. I mean, it goes that whole controversy. I guess we want to call it a Nun.
The Nun is freaky as fuck.
That is a gold mine. Yes.
I don't know.
She's so scary.
The Nun is frightening. I watched it 2 days ago again for like the 20th time. And it still scares the hell out of me. But I mean, those films are amazing. Those are really, really good films. Maybe there's one or two in that whole series. It's like, okay. And that's just me being picky. But no, there are, those films are great. James Wan, whatever he touches is gold. But then he's one of those guys that he'll leave the series. Like he did Saw, the very first Saw, right? When you're like, okay, that was great. You got, Billy the Puppet, you got all that stuff. And then he bails, right? Later.
Yeah.
And then we pick up the scraps and we screw it up. You know what I'm saying? So that happens a lot. So yeah, I'd say the Conjuring series, which is, we're going 10 years, right? So that came out like the 2013-ish.
That counts. We'll count it.
Something that was more recent.
Yeah. So
Do you like, gosh, I can't think of his name. They make like
Mike Flanagan?
Hereditary. Well, I love Mike Flanagan stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was going to say like the Hereditary film.
Sure. A24 stuff. Yeah.
There you go. A24.
Yeah. I'm hit or miss on A24.
Yeah.
I love Hereditary. Midsommar was just weird.
Yeah.
And it was weird enough I liked it, I mean, there's some aspects, but like, X just came out, right? Well, that just came out a couple months ago. And it was like, this is the best slasher in the last 10 years. I'm like, oh boy. When someone tells you that, you're just like, it's all right. Yeah, here we go. And look, it was a good movie. It was a fine movie, but they break into like a music video halfway through the movie. I don't know if you guys seen it.
I have not even heard of that. That's an A24 film?
Yeah, it's called X.
Okay.
And it's a ripoff of kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and basically 80s.
Yeah.
So like X, like
just
the
like
letter, or like
basically
my X.
they go to Texas. They rent out an old farmhouse to shoot a porno, right? And it's in the 70s, 80s, early 80s. So it's really at first I'm like, okay, that's cool, whatever.
Movies, okay.
I know we're going to get into, right? Yeah, exactly, right. But then they get very artsy to the point where it's like they lose you a little.
That's A24 though.
Yeah.
I feel like A24 is pretty artsy.
And I should have expected that. Right?
Yeah.
But when you hit me with, literally, I was driving to the theater and like I hear like best horror movie or best slasher ever, and I'm just like, oh, that's a lot. Okay,
Right,
buddy.
so
You
are
know?
you
We'll
like
see about
into
that.
slashers, more
That's
like
what
the
I was gonna
religious
say. Like, what's your
stuff, or-
favorite? Like, if you were picking, like, the serial killer or the ghosts
Or
the
Satan.
Yeah. That's the beauty of horror. All right. You look up, I always tell people, go to Wikipedia and look up horror in the subgenres. And you'll be there for 4 hours because there's so many subgenres in horror. But I'm a slashers guy. I love a slasher. I always say, look, and not to offend anybody here, but there's three things.
We're not easily offended.
Okay, good. All right. There's three B's that make Jason Swarr happy, right? And for a movie. And it's blood, boobs, and bad acting, right? And I want all three. I'll be so happy about that. And that's in that formula, like I said earlier, just give me stupid kids in the woods. They have sex, of course, right? And then they get killed and they get chased by some guy with an amazing mask that they're going to, and that's another thing that when you do a film like this, like, well, here we go. I'm acting like I've made a film. I've never made a film. So, but I get to be a critic. Okay. You gotta think merch,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys ever
Can
seen
I put this on a t-shirt? Yeah.
Yes. Or can I make this mask? I mean, obviously everybody's like, hey, what's your favorite, horror movie, right? It's like, first off, it's like asking what kid, which one of my kids I like best. I don't have one, but shout out to Billy. I love you. All right. So,
Billy's the favorite.
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Which is a good movie, by the way, too. Anyway, all right. So it's a horror.
What?
Yeah, it's a horror movie. So yeah,
I gotta watch it.
There's a horror movie for every holiday, by the
Valentine's
way.
Day,
Yeah,
Christmas.
Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Come on, so I was, this was after it came out, a couple years. It was playing in the drive-in, Friday the 13th, part 3 in 3D. I remember I was sitting on the back of a truck in the jungle drive-in. It was like November. I had a blanket around me. I had my 3D glasses, and I'm like, I've never seen a 3D movie. And I'm watching this film, and this is the 80s, 80. It came out in 84, but I saw it like 2 years later, 86 or something. So I was probably 11, 12. And I'm watching this, and it was the most incredible thing. Now, if you watch it now, it's like shit, right? But it's when Jason got his mask. He didn't get his mask to the third film. Now, there's like 10, 12 films right now. But a lot of people don't know that. But that was brilliant. And that was an accident in production, by the way. It was like, we need a mask. He wore a sack for part 2. That's not good. And the guy had a hockey mask in his bag. He was a part-time hockey player, so he's a PA or something like that. Put it on. Ooh,
That's kind of spooky.
Yeah. And then now it's probably
Iconic, yeah.
But it's very iconic. You can show any non-horror fan a hockey mask, say what horror movie. They'll either say Jason or they'll say Friday the 13th, you know? So that stuck with me. And so merch is a big deal. And I always say, if you ever seen Final Destination or any of the Final Destination films, they're fun. They're very fun. That's your 90s, early 2000s movies, which you always had. It's kind of the tropes of you always got the really good looking Freddie Prinze Jr. type of people and all that stuff. But the kills and the scenarios are amazing. They're most frightening things. But you never see Final Destination merch because these are like real accidents and real things. Like, you know, the NASCAR tire comes up.
Yeah, you're not going to have like a roller coaster wreck on a t-shirt.
The log truck. Like I've
iconic.
never driven behind one of those without picturing my imminent death.
I would wear a shirt with a log.
Just a
log
log
through a windshield.
Yes.
I don't get in tanning booths because of those movies.
No.
No, that's true though. Like again, as someone who I wouldn't identify as like a horror fan per se, but I know
Soon.
it's actually well, it's funny. My brother, after going to Terror Trader, my brother's like, "Here's a long list of things you need to watch." And so I'm working my way. I'm working my way down the list. But yeah, so like there are certain things though, like Scream, that I sought out to watch because I saw it everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to know about this. Same thing with Nightmare on Elm Street.
Sure.
Same thing with The Shining.
Merch.
Like there were things where I was like, I don't want to be left out of the cultural conversation anymore surrounding these things.
Scream was a really good one. I always say that because for two things, right? It needed, you know, the 80s were over. I think Scream came out in 96. Don't quote me on that. But
that sounds about right.
Yeah. And the 80s were over. They really ran the gamut, whatever that word is, depends what side of the word I'm on. In France, I call it gamut. Yes. So they needed something new, right? It's 90s, new decade, right? We needed something new. And, things weren't working out very well. And so they brought back the slasher genre, but in a very smart way. They threw comedy into it. And they threw a lot of stars, right?
They
made fun of the slasher
They
genre
make fun of
while
it.
still making a really amazing slasher film.
Yeah. And it worked.
And the mask is incredible.
And the mask, here's the funny thing, being in this business is the mask, like they don't even own the rights to this mask.
Really?
Yeah. So they literally went to, the mask existed before the film. So they went to a company called Fun World. And these things were in every horror store for like $2, right? The cheapy mask. And they like, this is awesome. We want this. They wore it and they obviously made an agreement. Fun World was very smart not to give up the rights to it. Thank God, because now they're...
Every Halloween.
Yeah, oh my God.
In the 90s, it's like every kid had that mask.
The one where you could push the button and it would start bleeding.
Or glue in the dark.
I always wanted one of those, but my parents were into Jesus.
Sneak it in, right? So, but that goes back to my merch thing, right? They of course, when you got really good looking stars in this movie, you kill off what's
Drew Barrymore
right at the beginning, which is a shocker, brilliant move, by the way. You know, and so you know that Scream was an amazing movie. Now, you know, Screams go on and on and on. You're kind of like, all right, I've seen it, you know, or what. And the new one came out. It's not bad. I mean, once again, I'll watch anything. I always watch horror. It's my job, right? And I love it. But it's like, you know, they kind of use the same jokes and the same things all over again and all that stuff. But I don't know. I'm hoping that will spawn someone else's brain. Like, hey, all right, we're kind of running this thing to death. Let's find something new, you know, or whatever. Yeah. But it's the merch and that and the money. And you can say Scream to anybody and everybody knows the mask. Yeah. Ghostface.
What do you feel about horror parodies like Scary Movie?
I love them. I think it's funny. I think it's a good break, you know, because, I mean, every genre of movies you got to be able to make fun of. You look at a movie called Hot Shots, right? I don't know if you ever heard of this, but Hot Shots Part 1. And it had
Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen. Thank you. Charlie Sheen. Right. And so, I mean, he's making fun of himself, all these action movies, and I think it's hilarious. I one of my favorite. If I don't, once again, I told you guys, I hardly don't watch anything besides horror, but I sneak some stuff in every once in a while, and it's usually a parody. It's usually something funny. So I like, the scary movies. I thought they were hilarious, actually, and Wayans brothers are amazing. So I'll watch anything with those guys.
Those first couple of them are so funny.
Yeah,
they're so funny.
Yeah, I think there's like 12 now, but
Right.
it's like anything.
Would you say that you've watched almost every horror movie that there is?
Yeah and no. I mean, a lot of foreign stuff is tough. I'm diving in a lot of foreign.
Because I want to like go around and ask Shauna and Nicole and Hayley what their favorite horror movie is and get your thoughts on it.
Just do it. I like it.
All right.
Yeah. So
if you've watched them,
while you guys are thinking, I'll say I'm diving. There's a lot of foreign ones I haven't done.
Because my favorite is a foreign one.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like reading movies. I know that's snotty and snooby or whatever you want to call it to me. I was like, I like to immerse myself in. I'll take a dub all day, but when I'm reading the bottom, and once again, West Virginia, I don't have very good. I got a PhD, a plain high school diploma, right? So when there's a word I don't understand, I'm like, shit. All right, this thing is kind of taken out. Now I lose the moment. So I never dove into a lot of foreign unless it was dubbed. Now Italian horror, I'm down with, man.
Okay, mine's in Spanish.
Okay, all right. What you got? That's it.
Wreck. Have you heard of
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, amazing movie.
Oh, great.
Okay, that is
so there's more than one.
There is, yes. And I actually like them all.
Really?
Yes.
I like the first two. I can't deal with the last, four? The last two? There's four?
Yeah, I think there may be four. And when it gets into found footage, I always say found footage, shaky cam type of stuff, your Blair Witch stuff, which, everybody's like, oh, Blair Witch, what a amazing concept. Hello. First off, they didn't start this. Cannibal Holocaust started this in the 70s. So, the found footage type of stuff. But anyway, a lot of people don't know that.
Cannibal Holocaust is banned.
If you guys ever watch Cursed Films, it's on Shudder, I believe it is. They actually did a documentary about Cannibal Holocaust and how that director, first off, every actor hates that director, right? But he's an Italian director and he's angry. He doesn't care what you think. That's these old school Italian directors are just like, whatever. Actors are nothing to me. They're like measly mites.
They're the props.
He literally made Cannibal Holocaust, bro. He didn't make Titanic, So, but he actually made all his actors hide for a year to sell it, like Blair Witch sold, right? Right? You know how they this is a real thing until he was actually in. Going to court because they thought there was so much violation, there's human right violation, there's all this stuff. And he's like, and you actually kill people. It's a snuff film. He goes, no, hold up. Hold on. Now that you guys come out of hiding and let's go and show
prove that you're alive.
Yeah. And they were like, a lot of them didn't want to testify. Like, screw you, So great story. Anyway, I'll get off track. But Wreck was a good one. It's a really good movie. And the more they go on, it's like anything. It gets watered down a little bit.
I think that's what it was because I like the first one because it really just set the entire foundation of the movie. You're still, by the end of it, trying to figure out what happened.
Sure.
And then the second one, it's a different perspective, but the same movie. And then it's completely different than what than what the first one was. Not exactly, but...
Is it wreck spelled like a shipwreck?
Like REC, like record.
Oh, okay, cool.
And the premise of it is it starts off with this woman who has this TV show, and she's like, oh, this is what happens while you sleep, and she's profiling this fire department. And then all of a sudden they got a call that people have this virus, and so they are recording it. And it's just that one shot. You're
cool.
Behind the perspective of this camera crew.
Yeah.
And the second one, it's these kids that sneak into this building trying to figure out what this whole commotion is about. It's really dope.
They're good. Like I said, I'm not a diehard found footage guy because I don't know. Sometimes it makes me dizzy, watching it, and it's. But Wreck did a good job, man. Really good. And you're right. It's a Spanish film, I believe. Right? So it's really good. So all right. Thumbs up to that one.
Okay. So I'm gonna go to very different sides of the horror coin here.
Oh boy.
So I really like Evil Dead 2.
God, speak my language right now.
Classic, obviously.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I go...
2?
So the first one, the second movie is basically the first movie over again, but with a slightly higher budget.
Totally. So The history on this. Hello, here we go.
Yep, let's do it.
So it started out with a 30-minute short called Within the Woods. Okay. And this was Sam Raimi. This is Bruce Campbell in college. So they're just like, hey, we don't know what we're doing, but we're going to make a really 8mm shitty short and see if anybody cares and we get some funding. Well, it's awesome because Bruce Campbell in it actually switches roles. He's actually the bad guy in the first one. So it's kind of cool. Underground, very hard to find. I think someone finally ripped it and put it on YouTube recently. So, and then they got the funding to make Evil Dead, which was 16mm, right? And which was very gritty, scary, and just something new, right? You're just like, what the hell is going on? You know, it's all kind of a one setting, you know, inside that cabin, and it's frightened the hell out of me, right? Yeah. Oh my God. And then Evil Dead 2 came back, and you're right. They basically shined that Evil Dead 1 up really well. And it is terrifying. Yep. Now, you can keep on going. Then they went into the comedy side of things with Army of Darkness.
I do like Army of Darkness, but I prefer the...
Yeah, Army of Darkness is not scary.
It's not scary. It's just, it's fun.
It's very fun. It's good. I always show people that I'm not really into horror. Like, hey, watch this. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those, which is, there's a handful of those movies that I always say, gateway drug, right? Into horror, you know? Mm-hmm. And so you're not going to turn anybody away, you know? And then, I don't know if you've seen the Evil Dead remake, 2000.
I really liked that too.
It was frightening.
It was so scary.
How long after the original was the remake?
The remake was 2013.
Yeah, and then the originals came out in like the 70s and 80s.
Early 80s, yeah. 81, I think, I don't quote, 80, 81, and early 80s they all came out. And then Army of Darkness was a 90, 92 movie, you know.
Was it in the 90s? Oh, wow.
So, but the Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 were, 80s. Oh, forget it.
Sounds like a zombie movie.
Possession.
Possession.
So they go to this cabin. Long story short, because people are seen it, but it's they go to a cabin on a weekend trip. You know, couples, and you know how it is, right? And then in the basement of this cabin, there's a book, really weird book with like human skin on it. It's called the Necronomicon. What does that mean? You know,
probably shouldn't open it.
Yeah, and there's a tape recorder with let's pop the tape recorder on it. You look at the book, and it's it starts doing all this Latin phrases, and basically you just raise the dead, and they start possessing people inside, but it's a very gross stop motion animation type of grossness in it too. Wow. Yeah, it's really wild, man. So
I can't believe I haven't seen it yet.
So Sam Raimi just directed the latest. Yeah, you know who Sam Raimi is. So it's like he's known for like things spewing in people's faces and shit.
And why I did not like the Curse of Men. You either like Sam Raimi or you don't.
That reminds me of another Sam Raimi movie that I really like called Drag Me to Hell, which scared the shit out of me too.
That button, right? You know.
Oh my God.
Drag Me to Hell was a great one because it had
recent.
It was 2000s. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2009 or 10.
That's actually a good range where it's at, and it was. It had the same feel as a Evil Dead-ish, but a little bit kind of. If you took Evil Dead 2 and you took Army of Darkness with that comedy and you kind of mixed it together, it had a little punchiness in it, and it was still a super, super fun movie.
And you do not see the ending coming. No. I was shook.
No. Yeah, I know. I actually tried to mirror that goat. I tried to purchase that.
Oh my God, that's
$60,000. I was going for it, man. I was like, but then I'm like,
a live goat?
No, it was a animatronic puppet goat, and it had all the 1,000 wires. You got to watch the movie to understand it, but it's a vital portion of that movie. But I tried. I was going to buy it, but then I'm like, wait, I'm going to spend
$60,000
on a stupid goat prop that I got to explain what it is. I'm like, I'm not going to do it. You know,
no, buy a real goat and make profit.
Right.
Yeah. So, but excellent movie.
Yes.
Excellent movie.
On the other side of the coin, I know we already mentioned it, but like a movie that stuck with me recently was Hereditary.
Yes.
Like I watched that movie and I thought about it for days afterwards.
I don't know what it was about that movie. I don't know what it was. I mean, like the little sister and stuff.
Yeah.
The ending was probably the creepiest thing to me. But the rest of it, I don't know.
When he's sitting in the car and he just knows his little sister's in the backseat, I thought about that scene for forever.
That was a very shocking scene.
Yeah.
And once again, we're talking A24, right? So you're going to get the weirdness. You're going to get to you get done like, huh. Okay.
Yeah.
That was wild.
And I think that's why it stuck with me so much.
Very good. Out of the A24 library, that's one of my favorites. Yeah, for sure. So you got some good picks.
Thank you.
I like your taste. Let's go down to the next side of the table. Oh, all right.
Okay. So I have two that I really enjoy watching. The first one is your classic Halloween, Michael Myers.
Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with it.
I'm obsessed with that one. I think it also, too, because I'm from Chicago. It's based in Illinois.
Yes.
I don't know. I really love Jamie Lee Curtis and Kyle Richards, even though she's a kid in that one and barely in it.
It is I said earlier, a gateway drug, right?
Mm-hmm.
You cannot go wrong. I showed this to my kid at 9 years old, 10 years old, you know, I'm like, okay, you ready for this? I did it during the day, right? You know, you got to work around because there's not a lot of blood. There's not the killing is very, it's a perfect, not to, using the same word, but a Halloween, a October style movie. You feel, a lot of us sound like we're from not Arizona, right? So if you ever grown up in East Coast, Chicago or whatever, you know, fall is a different feel, right? You get, it's almost like jacket weather, the leaves are falling. I mean, it put me right back on the East Coast when I watch this. I still watch it to this day. And it's a great movie. Obviously Carpenter killed it in this. I mean, you know, and that kind of set him off to, I mean, he's done a lot of other things obviously too, but that was what he's known for, you know, and amazing movie, a great slasher. And that spawned so many slashers, you know, it wasn't the first, obviously. I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was more of 74, but that was Halloween 78, I think it was, and that kicked off the golden age, I think, of slasher movement in the 80s. And yes, 100%, you can never go wrong with a Halloween.
Then my second one, I love the storyline of this one. The twist at the end just gets me every single time. The Orphan.
Oh yeah. That was
obsessed with that one.
That one gets hate. I don't know why. Like I bring it up in the shop a lot, and people just roll their eyes. I'm like, that's an amazing movie.
I love.
Sounds familiar.
So it's a girl who gets adopted by this family, and throughout the movie, she's kind of doing things to their 2 children that they have now. She's kind of abusing them, and they don't believe that it's her. Blah blah blah. She starts to get feelings for the dad. Comes later at the end of the movie, they find out she's like in her 30s.
Yes, grown adult.
Yeah. Posing as
playing
a kid.
Yeah.
Oh,
she's evil too,
It's
man.
crazy. It's such a good movie.
Yeah, I want to watch this.
I know. It's on my list.
So
I
good.
wanna watch
And now
it.
they're coming out with a prequel sequel.
Is it afterwards or before?
It sounds like
think
it's
it's-
after, but based on the story before.
I think they're coming out with a prequel, which makes no sense because the actress is older.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
And so she
Well,
has
they're coming
to
out
play
with the second
herself
movie, whether
younger.
it's before or after. But I'm very excited to see that one too.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It snuck up on me too. It was one of those like, all right, you know, once again, that's all I watched. So I was like, I'll throw it on, you know, and I wasn't even paying attention. But then I started paying attention. I'm like, wait, you can feel a hook coming, you know, but like, what is the hook? What's going on? And then you find out, she's like 30. And you're like, what the, oh my God, dude, you know, and then everything kind of makes sense at that point. All the evil shit she was doing. So two good movies. So
good.
All right.
All right.
No pressure here.
No, well, yeah. So if I were to say like my favorite, it would be Scream.
Okay. All right.
You know, we already talked about that, but I actually had to watch that for a class in college. Which shout out to ASU for assigning me to watch and
pretty rad.
study Wes
incredible.
Craven
Maybe I
movies.
should have
Yeah,
went to school.
it was pretty cool. So that's my favorite. I watch it, you know, every Halloween. I just introduced my husband to it. He'd never seen it before.
Every Halloween.
wow.
Every Halloween. I
Good.
watch Scream, yeah.
I love.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one thing. Can I throw it out there? You and I like the Halloween time frame comes up. Like you got to have certain staples. You got to we're going to revisit. And Scream a great one. You
Absolutely.
know,
Yeah.
It's like Christmas and like Rudolph.
Yeah.
100%.
And the
Or
thing
Silent
I
Night,
like-
Deadly Night. Yeah.
Like as you know, a squeamish kind of person, Scream isn't like overtly violent.
Right.
It's just scary.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. But other than that, and this is like probably one of my favorites because it's like nostalgic for me. A lot of people hate it, but it's a movie that came out in 2002. It's called The Mothman Prophecies. And has Richard Gere in it, I
Yes.
think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw it with my mom, and I remember both of us left the theater like shaking, and we couldn't sleep. I think I was a teenager, and I crawled into bed with my mom that night. Like I was like, I can't sleep. But
Those are the best. It's like it wasn't a quote great movie,
Right.
but it scared you at the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like now, if I go back and watch it, I can pick it apart and different things. But I remember being a teenager, and the thing is that it's based on true events.
Yeah.
That always freaks me out. And it wasn't like, you know, no one is like murdered or there's no blood or gore. There's just creepy stuff that happens the whole movie and really creepy music, which I think makes it, you know, even worse. And the color palette, the whole movie is this kind of cool, you know, blue gray, and you just leave feeling like there's a devil following you home. Yeah.
You ready for this? I grew up 20 minutes outside Point Pleasant, West Virginia. So right where Mothman's from.
Oh,
In fact,
that's cool.
yeah, I have pictures. So that's the only thing we have right there. Okay. Point Pleasant there's literally like 4 shops and then the Mothman Museum.
And it's
you know?
always the places that sound the most nice.
Dude, like a bridge
Point
collapsed.
Pleasant.
A bridge collapsed and killed a bunch of people.
In the 60s, I believe it was. So you had Silver Bridge, I believe it's called. It's sure enough, it collapsed and it killed it was bad,
like
bad,
Christmas Eve or something too.
Right.
It was
bad engineering, but the locals, everybody thinks they saw the red-eyed Mothman on
he's
top
like a
of her.
6 foot tall
Yeah.
Mothman.
And he was communicating with people, and someone predicted that it was going to happen.
In town, you always got the old timers. Always that's why I always laugh at you. You look at an old slasher, Friday 13th. You're all gonna die. You got that old man, where it's always
like, shut up, old man.
Yeah, we have those people. We have those people in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, that's been there since day one. They're like 7 years old, and they'll tell you like, I've seen the Mothman 12 times. I was getting
I got coffee with him last week.
Yeah. I was walking home the dirt road with my 12-pack of Old Milwaukee's Best, and there he was. And so you listen to hundreds of stories of everybody saying it's an urban legend, right? And I'm a huge urban legend guy, and that's something that I think is you got creepypastas and stuff like that. I guess that kind of take over, but
Slender Man.
right? Yeah,
but
but
that's what I was thinking of.
Slender Man's scary as fuck.
it is cool.
That video game is scared the shit out of me the first time I played
The
it.
movie's horrible, but yeah.
Play like scary video games like Resident Evil.
So yeah, we're actually, we're starting all this shit up. we're doing the typical.
We're gonna go on and
I
on
can't
and on.
finish the village. I could only do
Yeah.
the first part.
So we're starting the typical Terror Trader Twitch. You know the deal. Everybody's got one of those, right? But the funny thing is, we're doing nothing but horror video games,
I
right?
love horror video
Mainly Oculus type of stuff. So we're actually in the game and all that stuff. But it's the funny part is we're all old people and we all suck at video games. So it's the fun part, and we're scared like little children, or whatever. But my kid got me, and she's like, you need to do a channel. And I'm like, I don't need it. That's all I needed. Another thing to do. And then she goes, well, play some of these games. I'm like, okay, because I'm old school. I'm old Atari, right? So I started playing these games. Holy shit! I'm like,
Yeah, dude.
I was like, and she threw the Oculus. There's that's a virtual reality or whatever. Oh my god, you do that? I was like, it's like The Exorcist or some game she gave me.
Nope.
And it was terrifying. I was sweating. I was like, because you're all your senses are
you're
covered,
immersed.
right? Yeah,
Can't do that.
I can't do it. I like to watch other like Twitch streamers play.
Yeah.
There's like some slasher one where one of you guys is the killer.
Dead by Daylight.
Yeah,
I think it's called. I think it's.
I've
I played
heard of that one.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I love watching people play that.
They started putting real like Michael Myers,
Yeah,
Ghostface in there, and which is brilliant, by the way, because now
Ghostface Killer, like the rapper from Wu-Tang.
I actually
He
met
makes a cameo.
Yeah. I met Supreme the other day, by the way, from Wu-Tang. Anyway, that's long.
Just drop that in.
Yeah, sorry. It was awesome. I was doing my little. All right, but yeah, they're doing that. They're throwing all these horror icons in these games, which is great because now, like, perfect example. My kid, she doesn't like horror. She's an anime person, right? She loves anime, but which has a horror
It's like,
element.
there's some scary animes too.
I'm learning, by the way. Yeah. But now, man, she can rattle. I'm playing Leatherface today. I'm Michael Myers. She knows what he kills, how he kills, and I mean, it's like, oh, this is pretty rad. Here's Pinhead. I'm like, damn, you know about Hell? She hasn't watched any of these movies, but she knows, Pinhead from
the
Hellraiser.
game.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. And so I was like, all right, we'll get into this, and we're doing it on work hours. Who cares? We just have some fun. But I'm diving into that world because a lot of people come in and we ask every customer, hey, how can you make the store better? Right? Your suggestion box. Horror video games is always every week's on the list. So hey, give them what they want, right?
I used to play Nightmare Creatures when I was a kid, which was on the original PlayStation.
Oh.
And I would play it late at night with my brother. And it was just your typical, monsters, werewolves things, trying to, and you can picture original PlayStation graphics. It wasn't very good.
At the time, you're like, this is the peak. At the time. They can't get any
It's
better than this.
midnight, and I'm like shaking, sweating because I'm super scared of what's going to jump out at me. I couldn't go to sleep, but I had to beat the game. That was my jam.
It's awesome. And then, look, horror video games are freaking scary,
Yeah,
man.
they are.
They're doing such a good job. And then you can put yourself in a dark room, good audio, and horror. Forget it. You're going to be jumping. You're going to be like, screw this.
Playing Slender Man with my cousins, and it was that joke thing, get Shauna in here, and then turn off all the lights, and I was shrieking.
You guys remember when the clowns just started jumping up out of nowhere?
Yeah.
Like the
what was that?
people
2016
that were,
or
doing
20?
the pranks?
Yeah, you remember that?
That was annoying.
Yeah, they were just walking streets, right?
Yeah.
Which is
Going to playgrounds and stuff.
so
creepy.
so it's funny because we have a lot of people cosplay every day in our shop, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, which is awesome. I encourage it. I'm like, have
Are you
fun.
saying that
incredible.
somebody was on their way to your store?
Well-
while dressed as a clown?
They got pulled over.
To do a scout clearing.
We have a
staring.
guy. I don't want to throw his name out there because I love this guy. His name's Tippy Town Mike, right? You can sign on Instagram and all that stuff. And he's such a diehard cosplayer that he is never out of cosplay.
Wow.
Right? Ever. And it's like he'll come in the store pretty much every day, and he's in a different cosplay.
Nice.
And I go, Tippy Town Mike. I go, what do you do when you leave here? You know? He goes, check my Instagram. And I look at his Instagram, and sure enough, he's walking through Tempe. He's going to Bookman's. He's going everywhere dressed up as Michael Myers.
Oh my
and
gosh,
stuff.
my brother has seen this dude.
Yes.
He took a
Yes.
picture with him. He
Yes.
was like just at Starbucks and he was like,
Yep.
check out who walked in today. And
I
he
love
took a
that he's
selfie
just
with
going
Mike
to the
Myers.
most casual places.
He does
Yeah.
that.
He's
He'll go to
getting
the
like
mall.
a car wash. Yeah.
He'll literally
That's awesome.
go right down to like Chandler Mall, which once again, I know this is nationwide public, but our local mall right down the street from where I'm at, and just walk it as Michael Myers or walk it whatever. And I'm like, dude, have you ever? He goes, I'm not. So I worries about.
You ever got
it.
kicked out?
I go, you ever? Because you walk around, and he goes, I won't carry a knife inside the mall, but I'll just walk around and just creep on people. And I'm like, no one's ever giving me shit.
I like
he's
that.
He's
That's
like,
cool.
nah, man. Actually, people enjoy it. People try to give me money and stuff. I was like, all right, man. So a lot of people are so into that, and which is awesome. I think is rad. Once again, I think we're getting to. You probably couldn't do that 10, 15 years ago. People would be just douchebags, But
Yeah.
I think we're right now, and I think Phoenix area is getting to the point where, there's douchebags everywhere, but it's acceptable. It's cool. You want to do that, have some fun, man, And we encourage it at the store all the time. So, and we get some amazing cosplayers. If you come to these sales at Dark Side we started out talking about, I would say there's hundreds of people dressed up.
That's incredible. I'm going to have to bust out my Elvira.
You got, yeah.
I got a good Elvira.
You would be a huge hit. You would, yeah. We just did, we had a guy just bought this amazing, like $600. I don't know if you guys ever heard Art the Clown from Terrifier. If you haven't seen it, look it up. He's probably the most terrifying clown, since we're talking clowns, but he bought this expensive costume, and it's one of those silicone masks so you can emote and talk and all that stuff.
Oh, those things are creepy.
Yeah, and he made hundreds of dollars that night.
Wow.
Just like people just going up tipping him. Here, this is a cool. They actually, some people actually thought it was the real actor, and I was like, oh man, shit, I should have advertised it.
Go with it.
Yeah. But it's but they're the cosplays, and you guys seen it, like Fan Fusion, you see all this stuff like they're just getting amazing, and they're getting very creative, and to see that in the horror community is even better for me because.
Any excuse for me to wear my Walking Dead cosplay, so
Yeah.
we'll be there.
Yes.
We'll be there.
You know what's funny about that? You said Walking Dead is man. I'm starting to get my finger on the pulse of things on how quickly things are hot and how they just go away, right?
Right.
And when I first started, I was like, Walking Dead, everything. There's fucking 1900 seasons of this thing. Let's do this, and I bought all this merch. And no one cares.
Yeah.
It's just been beaten to death.
Honestly, though, it quit being like horror anything like after season 3.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, which is unfortunate. But I almost said, when we were talking about our favorite things, the pilot episode of The Walking Dead is like,
Oh, it's scary.
Still,
Yeah.
one of the best things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Love the series. I didn't even watch it until name drop. Not to. I'm
Name
actually.
drop away, name
I'm
drop away.
I'm very good friends with Michael Rooker. Okay.
Oh, that's cool. Sick.
Yeah. So and
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
I've made him do that line on air before.
Oh
too.
my God,
Yeah.
I love
That's
it.
awesome.
And then 'cause he has a short role season 1. I think we only did one season there. I think he did maybe 2 seasons.
Maybe he died in 2 seasons. Yeah.
And I haven't watched it yet. I haven't got to it. And he's like, dude, you fucking watch this thing. He goes, I'm telling you. He goes, it's going to be something. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Who knew it was going to be what it did,
Right.
And but it's Walking Dead's fun, man.
And
it
you
was,
want to talk about a gateway? That
Yes.
was, I was not watching anything scary since like The Ring or whatever the heck. And my
like The Ring.
husband was like, you have to watch this show. Like when Walking Dead came out, I was like, that is not anything I am remotely interested in. Do you not know who you married? And he's like, you have to.
You
and
like the X-Files.
Dude, true, but that's like sci-fi, you know?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
aliens
that's true.
Zombies, like a whole different thing. And that Walking Dead was one of those shows where it was like, I got to the point where I was like, more gore,
Yeah.
please. Like more tearing
That
off of the
wasn't
faces.
bloody enough.
Yeah, like I need more.
I
So yeah,
think it-
absolutely gateway.
And you guys know this too. I don't think it was about the zombies. It was about how ruthless we can be
the
as
horrific
humans,
people.
right?
Yeah.
And so that was like the zombies was like this bonus. Like it was like the icing on the cake, right? Because like you had so much drama between the factions and the different groups and all that stuff, and there was plenty of death and.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. And then now you do some really great looking zombies from K&B, who did the effects and all that stuff. It's like, okay, this is a great combo. And I can see why it made billions of dollars like it did,
Yeah.
But then anything, like I said, I'm always behind because I'm like, I get all this merch and people are like, yeah, we don't care anymore. I'm like, shit. Okay. So, I found that same with, we talk about, it, right? Pennywise. Yeah. I thought, man, everybody's down with Pennywise. Not right now, So you always gotta stay what's hot, what's coming, But there's always stuff that'll always be hot. Your Halloween's perfect example.
The classic ones.
Michael Myers will sell. I mean, anybody. It doesn't matter because even the little kids want to be Michael Myers. They want to go grab the pale face mask, right, and put it on, and they have no idea never seen the movie. I had a person come up the other day. Oh, God, I'd say she bought, I don't know if you heard of Return of the Living Dead. It's another 80s zombie movie, fun, comedy-ish type of zombie movie. But they probably bought $150 worth of stuff, right?
Oh, wow.
And I go, we just had Linnea Quigley, who is trash, she played one of the roles in it, in very high-powered role in that movie. And they're like, oh, I've never seen the movie. I just think it's really cool. I'm like, what? And we had someone said the same thing about Scream. They just like Ghostface. They never watch Scream.
Wow.
I think Ghostface is really cool. So once again, we'll go back to the merch.
So interesting.
Speaking of things that are hot, I think that Stranger Things and like the Duffer Brothers in particular, because they're such huge fans of 80s horror and they've put all of these different, homages to The Thing and stuff like into the series.
Scary.
Yeah. It's super scary.
Yeah.
And I think too, like there's a lot of young people who Stranger Things is their entrance into scary stuff. And they're going back and they're watching stuff because the Duffer Brothers are like, well, here's where we got this idea. And, Hopper's car is straight from Jaws. And like, you need, and so like, I feel like,
oh, crap. That's dope. There you go.
So yeah, I feel like that's opening up like a whole new world
Totally.
for a lot of young people too.
It is. And it's gotten, once again, my kids, she graduated high school, and all her friend group, right? That's how they got into it. Then they went to Scream. And then, and I'm like, hey, watch Killer Clowns. I try to throw some other stuff out there, man. And then they, shut up, old man. That's how we talk, right? Well, Killer Clowns is another, if you've never seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space, it's such a dumb, amazing movie.
I have had that suggested to me so many times in the last year. I feel like I just have to do it.
You will not be disappointed. You'll leave there going, okay, you will leave totally with a smile on your face, and then you'll start getting all the fandom.
Yeah.
You see tons of fandom. We sell so much merch from Killer Clowns, and it came out 20, 30 years ago,
Funny.
And it hasn't been redone. It's one of those movies that you can't redo it,
It just needs to exist as it is.
And it's a staple and it's another gateway drug. I would say it's another, it's not overly violent, but the violence fun, stuff like that. And it's stupid. It's literally,
it's funny when you don't realize you're watching like a horror thing. Like when you first watch Stranger Things, you're like, oh, okay, this is like a story about a kid that gets abducted, and then soon enough you're like, oh no, this is terrifying. Yeah.
Like my favorite show of all time is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Right.
So definitely not a horror show, but there's horror elements and monsters.
Yeah, it's a great show.
And there are some episodes of that show, like there's this episode, Hush.
Oh gosh.
Where
so
everybody in town loses the ability to speak and these monsters come and you can't scream. And it's I think that's a good gateway.
Buffy's fun.
Yeah.
I got a good conversation with Doug Jones, who actually recently came by, and he had, he did I don't know how many.
He was one of those guys who took the hearts from it.
Yeah. So, and he loved it. And I think everybody kind of likes Buffy, even like the big tough guys. Oh yeah, I don't watch Buffy. They watch Buffy.
Yeah,
I watch Buffy.
I got introduced to Buffy by a dude.
I tell you, I'm a 20-year Marine, right? I did 20 years in the Marine Corps, right? Just because I didn't know what else to do in my life.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I go, look, I'm a 20-year Marine. I love Buffy.
Yeah.
I'll eat that up. I go, it's great shows. And I'm like, okay, I guess it's okay to watch. And then they watch it. Like, it's fun. It's a great TV show,
it is fun.
Yeah. So there's always those type of things. You just gotta push people into it. Like I said, I was surprised how many people haven't seen Poltergeist. Has everybody seen Poltergeist?
That was my first movie that I watched as a little kid.
That's the little girl in the TV, yeah?
Yes.
And I'm like, why? I feel like I should not be. I'm not allowed to watch this.
Yeah.
Why am I watching this?
It's
scared the crap out of me.
It is frightening, but it's frightening in a weird way. It's a Steven Spielberg movie, right? And Tobe Hooper, it's weird because Tobe Hooper and Steven Spielberg. Tobe Hooper's the guy who made Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? And then they team up, and you got Spielberg. But it's very Spielberg-esque.
Yeah, for sure.
But terrifying at the same time. But once again, an 8-year-old could watch it, terrified. But you're still gonna. It's one of those movies that are gonna stick with you forever. And that clown, you see that clown today. If anybody who's seen it, you're like, nope, I'm out.
I'm out.
I don't know why, But as a child, I feel like I was constantly exposed to Stephen King movies.
Oh.
So It was the first one.
Yeah.
I saw Pet Sematary.
Oh my God, I saw Pet Sematary on accident.
That freaked me out.
Oh my God.
Totally.
Not even on accident. It's one of those things you're flipping through the channels
Yeah.
and it comes on and then you change the channel
Right.
fast and you're like,
Cujo was another one.
Wondering why
Cujo.
Stephen
Cujo was
King
always
was
on.
like bigger than R.L. Stein.
Yeah, I think
Like,
so.
in terms of like
Yeah.
movies. Because
Right.
like I loved R.L. Stein books.
Right.
When I was a
R.L.
kid.
Stein was like Stephen King for kids.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
Like,
the Goosebumps
yeah.
stuff was,
'Cause
yeah.
I was like
I was
into the like
so into Goosebumps when I was a kid.
I was into like the choose your scare book.
Yeah.
Oh, those are
I had
cool.
those Night of the Living Dummy books. I had like a compendium that had like whatever, 6 of them all in one. And I used to carry it
Googling
around like
that
it was
word
my
right now.
Bible.
Oh my God.
I would carry it around with me like, you guys see this? And if you push the button, Slappy's eyes glowed. And I
Yeah.
was like, I'm cooler than you.
Keep this thing on me. That's right.
I
can't lose
missed the whole Goosebumps thing. I was once again I'm old,
Goosebumps is
right?
cool.
I was already in the service when that was going on. So I'm actually getting reintroduced now. I know it's more of a kid show and all that stuff, but we have tons of Goosebumps merch and all that now. You know, once again, I have
That
all
nostalgia,
I have all
yeah.
the books and everybody I work with who are 90s kids, 2000 kids, and all that stuff, and that's all they talk about. So like, all right. Look, I got to figure it out. So I'm actually going back. I'm kind of learning myself about Goosebumps, like, and it's fun. As a kid, are you kidding me? I'd be pissed if I'm mad I didn't have that as a kid. You know?
You should go back and watch Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh, I was
Oh,
just gonna bring that
yeah.
up.
That's good
Yeah, it was
stuff.
on Nickelodeon.
That was probably my first intro into like horror. I mean, I'm sure you've heard about it.
I have, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, so it's like all these kids sitting around a campfire
Telling
in the
scary
beginning.
stories,
And-
right?
Yeah, and they tell scary stories.
That's awesome.
And then the whole episode is their scary story. And
Oh,
there's
hell yeah.
clowns. I remember there's a little old lady who's dead the whole time. You find out at the end of the episode. And like,
What was the show with like the dead guy, the like puppet?
Oh no.
oh,
the dead puppet?
the crypt keeper
The
guy.
Yeah,
Ah,
that. What
Tales
was
from
that?
the- Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
great.
guy's gross. That used to scare me as a kid too.
Crypt Keeper, yeah. So I love all those. You know, Tales from the Crypt was amazing.
Yeah.
Creep Show. If you never watched Creep Show 1 and 2, they're movies, they're anthologies, and they're awesome. Filled with big stars too, you know, and all that stuff. But the shows are amazing. Stephen King wrote a few of those in there, and also he actually acts in a few of them as well. Awesome shows, and it's a great. There's certain movies that I always say they're party movies, right?
Yeah.
Something that hey, let's all get together. They're still on Creep Show, and you can't go wrong. You don't have to be glued to the TV. If I have to go up and grab, a beer or grab whatever, you come back, you're not going to miss anything, or whatever. You can get caught really quick, but they're fun movies to watch with people.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was still like in my kid phase.
Yeah.
And, like grab a beer.
Oh, come on,
Bring
man.
over.
I mean, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I did.
So yeah, those are the type of movies I enjoy, and once again, party movies. Scream is another perfect party movie because
You're having a Halloween party, you throw that on in the background.
You can laugh,
Yeah.
you always get the good kills, you get this, but once again, you don't have to be glued because there's one thing is like certain movies, any Guillermo del Toro movies, if you literally blink, you gotta watch it again, which he makes great movies, but very slow burnish and all that stuff. Actually, Antlers, I'm going all the way back to the question you asked me in the recent 5 years. Antlers is a Guillermo del Toro movie, and it's awesome. It is, yes.
I've heard
It's
of
about
that.
the Wendigo, which was an urban legend.
Yeah.
and it is. God, he's so environmental, atmospheric. There you
Yeah.
go. Where like you leave that movie going, I will never step foot in Oregon because it's based in Oregon. But you just feel, if you watch a good
Oh
Texas,
yeah,
Chainsaw
Carrie Russell's in that movie.
Oh, I love Carrie Russell.
it's an amazing movie. It's a good one, So once again, but it's a slow burn. You got to know what you're getting into with one of his
You said
movies.
Antlers, and I was picturing Tusks, which is a very
Tusk
different
is
movie.
fucked up.
Tusk.
I was thinking of Horns with Daniel Radcliffe,
Oh, I see
right.
that.
which is a good movie too, and he grows horns throughout the
Tusk. Boy.
fucked up.
That one I had a hard time choking down, man. It was. I'm a Kevin Smith guy too, but that was a tough one.
That's a gross movie.
It is, man. Yeah. So, but once again, I was never a big body horror. Once again, it was 1,000 subgenres, and body horror is one of them. It's like,
Yeah,
Body
like
It's my
Not-
least favorite
yeah.
thing in the
Same.
entire
Yeah,
world.
the centipede one. No.
Yeah, the human centipede.
Human Centipede. I don't know. I look. I'm like, I've seen them. And one of those, I'm just halftime I'm looking away or I'm on my phone because I'm just like, what the who? Yeah, I can't believe. But there's other people coming to the shop and they are diehards. You know, they love that movie. I'm like, this is the grossest concept. If you don't know, basically a doctor sews people's mouths to people's asses and makes one big giant human digestive tract between like 5-10 people.
For the love of science.
It is horrible.
It's for science.
It was a moment. It was like a cultural moment
where none of us had seen it, but we all knew about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll get through those like BuzzFeed articles or stuff that are like the most effed up movie plots ever. And there's like 2 of them that I like. So one is called Antichrist with Willem Dafoe.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
I have.
And is it as screwed up as it sounds on Wikipedia?
Willem Dafoe is the kind of person you would expect to be.
He's done some weird shit. Yeah. But that movie's jacked, man. It is. Yeah. So if you hadn't seen it, you're not missing a lot.
Just read the Wikipedia plot.
There you go.
The other one is called Serbian film.
All your listeners, do not watch Serbian film. All right.
Yeah.
It is the most effed up movie in the history of effed up movies.
That's always at the top of every list. It doesn't even sound like horror. It just sounds like
it's torture. It's torture porn, basically, right? It's a really, you look up the plot. Go look at spoilers, and you'll realize I don't want to watch this.
No, you said torture porn. I'm not into.
Yeah.
It's just it's snuff film type of stuff, right? It's produced very well. I mean, I'll tell you the one. It was the cinematography, the look. It's blockbuster. The story, No, especially the ending, and I'm not even going to get into it, but...
I could see Hayley over there just shuddering, reading things on her phone.
It is.
This was a good idea.
It is like, back in the day, that was a big thing. You ever heard, I don't know if you guys have heard of Faces of Death, right? It was, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So back in the 80s, the Faces of Death is supposed to be real death on VHS, right? It was like, and if you had one of these tapes, it was like you had a bag of drugs, right?
Yeah.
You're like, is your mom home? No, because I got Faces of Death 1. You're like, holy shit. Okay. So you go sneak in there, and then you find out years later that half of it's fake. But it's at the time, there's no internet, right? There's no right now. You want to see someone die, jump on whatever. You can go easily find something, right? But there it was like the first time you actually see death. Fake, I don't know, or real autopsies, and it was just the most terrifying thing ever. And then you just, once again, you collect. It's like I have all 5.
That's
so
what I felt about End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger, who also I don't understand why
was he in a horror movie?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it was a horror movie. I was terrified for it. It was like at the turn of the century, I guess, or the millennium, and it was right before the year 2000,
like Y2K.
Y2K was a whole thing, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was in this movie, and I wasn't sure why he was even in a horror movie. I was even going to ask you that if there's any movies that you've seen where you're like, what is this actor even doing in a horror?
Yeah, especially mainstream actors. And I say mainstream, but I mean no offense to the cast of the new Friday the 13th or whatever, because not a lot of big blockbuster names, but when you see a big, you got someone who's won an Oscar or something. This is I always throw this out. All right, everybody knows Peter Jackson, right? Lord of the Rings, right? Do you know his first films? You ever heard about his first films? Yeah. Okay, it's called Bad Taste. All right, it's called Bad Taste and Dead Alive. They're incredibly bad and crazy horror films, gross, and they were just look them up. They're actually Bad Taste is a really fun one. They all shot New Zealand or wherever he's from, right? Dead Alive actually has the highest amount of blood count in the history of all horror films.
What?
And this is Peter Jackson, who later became getting Oscars handed to him, throwing them right. So yeah, Bad Taste is a fun one, and they're all 80s movies or whatever. But they started that way, right? So that's why I was blow people's minds because. Dead honest, I never watched Lord of the Rings. It's just not my thing, right? Either. But I know about Peter Jackson, right? And all that stuff. But there's sometimes I see, I don't know, it's a love-hate relationship when I see a big movie star go into a movie, a horror movie, because I think, I don't know, maybe it's that's how they threw a lot of money in this. Hopefully people will come watch it, and the movie sucks. But then I'm wrong with Scream because they threw some big names in Scream, and it was a really good movie, So I'm up in the air. I'm 50-50 with that.
Yeah, I feel it. No, but I did feel like when we're just going back to just these movies that you feel real, I thought that there was going to be, by 2000, by Y2K, there were going to be dragons all up in the air and albinos everywhere. I'm not
That's I was convinced, 2012 was going to be the end of the world. Because remember, you had all those The Day After Tomorrow and all these disaster movies. San Andreas and all those things were, the end of the world. But it was that one span it was like a 6-month span where Jude Law was in every movie, and then if he wasn't in it, then it was an end of the world movie.
Yeah.
Weird.
I love zombie movies and I love end of the world movies.
28 Days Later. You ever seen that?
I love
Yeah.
28
Okay.
Days Later.
That's Cillian Murphy, right? Is that the one?
I don't know who that is.
Is that a zombie movie?
The Peaky
It
Blinders.
is a zombie
Okay,
movie.
yeah.
It's a British movie, right? But it's it's kind of like the introduction to fast zombies.
Yeah, they're
Is there
fast.
is
They're
this
so
a
fast.
sequel like 42 Days Later?
It was 28 weeks later.
Oh.
Yeah,
42 days later.
Those are great movies, though. Those
Yeah,
two
they're really
movies
good.
are really good. Kind of a little bit that Saving Private Ryan camera, a shaky, jittery type of camera, but the stories are great in it, and they're definitely, zombie movies have kind of played itself out. I think, I mean, there's a handful that I get my go-tos, but there's 1,000 that I hate. You
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
28 Days Later was killed it though. That was and 28 Weeks Later, both of them.
Yeah, the sequel was really good too.
It was, yeah. And it's like I said, it's an English movie, but it's really good, really fun.
I think that the 28 Days Later, that sequence where Cillian Murphy, he comes out of the hospital,
Oh,
Yeah.
was the inspiration for the premiere of The Walking Dead.
absolutely.
Walking Dead.
Yeah, when Rick first
I bet
comes out of the
you're
hospital.
right, because that's it. You're right. It's
sure.
almost the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. And like I said, there's you got your staples in the zombie stuff, right? Your Nights, Dawn, and Days, right? Night of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and it's all Romero stuff, which is great. George Romero was a genius when it comes to only really zombie movies, right? I mean, no offense to anything else he's done. I thought that's the only thing
You find something you're good at, you just do
stick
it.
with
Yeah.
it, right? And even the remake of Dawn of the Dead, if you ever get a chance, if you I don't feel like watching an 80s, 70s movie, watch the remake of Dawn of the Dead. It's a 2000. It's really good. It's
I'm more of a Shaun of the Dead.
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh,
I was
I
like, we gotta
love
plug
Shaun
my
of the Dead.
favorite zombie movie,
Yes.
which is Shaun
Yeah,
of the
that's
Dead.
true. That's mine.
goes back to almost like our parody. It's not a parody, it's a comedy. Because horror comedy can go one way or another, and
sure.
usually it goes the wrong way, right? But Shaun of the Dead was brilliant. It was a brilliant movie, and I think once again we talk about gateway. I think it was a good gateway for people that all right, I'll watch this, and they got a good laugh. They had some good gore in it, some funny kills with the records going on people's heads and all that stuff, which is fun. Another great recommendation. People ask me what's a good comedy, a horror comedy, and it's Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh, I've heard of that.
It's a weird name. It's not one of these big mainstream movies, but it is the funniest comedy.
Pretty recent too, right?
2000s,
Yeah.
mid 2000s. It's by far the funniest. And I don't even know the guys who. I'm horrible with names.
Tucker and Dale.
Yeah, the real names, but they're real comedians. But they work. They're rednecks, and it's just funny and as funny it gets, and it's gory, but you can sit through this thing and just laugh your ass off. So Tucker and Dale versus Evil, you probably never even know it if I told you, but I promise you right now, that's a slam dunk win. Go home and watch it.
Nice.
That's my recommendation for today. All right.
Oh man, I feel like we could go on and on and on about just
I can run my mouth all day. I'm
right.
sorry.
No, same. That's why we have a podcast.
Yes.
Speaking of podcast, you host a podcast, the Creepcast.
Yes. Yeah. It's a lot more R-rated than this. Sometimes.
We're keeping it pretty PG today, you guys. I'm proud of us.
good. Okay, all right,
And we
yeah.
did mention some fucked up movies. So maybe
Yeah,
not.
that's
Maybe
true.
not.
Yeah, it's a fun. I wanted a store podcast, right? I mean, it's like our store is like Clerks. I'm telling you right now. It's
Oh, I
like,
love Clerks.
We have. I mean, a lot of people just come in to hang out, and I built the store for that reason because once again, Clerks is a great movie, right? We're talking little Kevin Smith, so yeah, everything was great until he did Tusk. Okay,
Why, Kevin? Why?
so yoga hoses, I couldn't get to that either. Anyway, all right, so. But so we have such a just a group of people come in and just hang. Some people hang 8 hours in there. It's great. I love it. I encourage it. And if they want to stand at the counter the whole time, let's do it. But then there's people that once again have jobs, which is weird. So we figured just do a store podcast and the Creepcast, and it's a we have 4 hosts with us, and myself, Justin, he's my manager. His fiance, she was a Tom Savini School of Makeup graduate, so she knows everybody in the industry and all that stuff.
That's so cool.
And then you have Wolf Tummy, which is a guy named Franco, who's an amazing artist, but he also works in LA and he works on a lot of TV stuff, so he has connections, and hence he's like, oh yeah, we got Doug Jones in. That's not me. I didn't do it. That's like his hookups. I'm just name dropping, make me look cool. But so it's a cool dynamic, and it's fun as hell, and we're young. We're only about 15, 16 episodes into it right now. But it depends when you're listening to this, we may be 50 episodes into it. But it's a good time, and it's we banter like this. Sometimes we play games. Sometimes we do. It's all horror based, and yeah, check it out. Spotify, the deal. Everywhere, wherever you can find podcasts? I don't know where people find podcasts. Where do people listen?
Now
to
on
podcasts?
Audible.
Yeah.
Audible. All right.
Pop Culture Junkies now on Audible.
Oh, look at that! Yeah. I'm amazed. This is cool. But yeah, it's a fun. Thank you for bringing it up, by the way. So it's a fun show, and I think it's a good. I just try. We're making a community. We're back up. There is a community already. We're just trying to get everybody put together. And
assemble the community.
Yeah, and it's with these events we're having, and just like tell people, I go come in the store. Just everybody comes in and it's like, I've had the shittiest day, and the only reason I'm here is just to talk horror and have some fun and just bullshit. And it's like,
I am so excited to go. I can't believe I haven't been yet. Like,
yes.
There's a couple punk and goth stores in Phoenix, but nothing that sounds like it's going to be as much into the size and scale.
Yeah, and it's getting bigger and bigger. So I got one job because the vendors are so rad. They build all my inventory. I build monsters and just the look of the place. You've been there, you've seen it. It's fun. It's very visual, and that's one thing. I think these days we're all short attention span type of people. Just the world is kind of, social media has kind of turned us into that. So I want to make where you're just like, I got so much to fucking look at.
There is so much.
Like stimulation.
You can be there. We were there for a long time, and I was still like, wait, what? Like the VHS room a lot. Like I'm digging through. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, really, really cool. There was X-Files trading cards.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Dope.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
We got a little something for everybody. Yeah. So yeah, it's fun. And I wanted you ever been to like an oddity shop or a super small where it's like it takes you 10 minutes to go 5 feet, right? I wanted that feel, but I wanted it wide open because once again, still people are kind of, COVID or, I don't think we've all gotten back where we can just kind of rock concert together. I mean, we're starting to slowly get there, but people don't like being close to other people. So the aisles are a little bit wider and all that stuff. So it's very comfortable to shop unless you go to a big event. If you came to big events, I can't vouch for that. I think it's crazy. But normal shopping days, but you can take an hour, at least an hour in that shop and still not see everything, So
I need to go on a day that I'm not in a rush.
And you need to go after payday because you're gonna.
That helps.
You're gonna.
She came back and she's like, "You need to go there, Shauna. Like you're gonna want to buy."
I was like, I'm just gonna go check out some stuff, and then and then I have a lanyard, and then I have this, that, and the other thing. The VHS, they've got these VHS tapes that are like lamps, like LED.
Oh yeah,
so
that's
cool.
so
They're
sick.
so cool.
Okay, so they're not VHS that you can actually use because who does?
Right? No,
A lot of people.
Oh yeah.
That VHS room, or video room or whatever, I restock that weekly, and then we have hundreds of tapes in there. Hundreds. There's so many. What's old is new again, that type of thing. I mean,
sure.
I don't know how long VHS will be popular, but
as long as the hipsters want it to be.
there you go. Yeah.
As long as vinyl is huge
sure.
now.
Yeah. And so we're at that stage right now, and they're actually grading these things like comic books now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's crazy. A guy tried to sell me a $700 Texas Chainsaw Massacre the other day, and it's original package. I'm like, I ain't paying $700 for it.
I'm just waiting for that to happen with CDs and DVDs because I got drawers of them, baby.
I think it will. I think we're about
I have
5-10 years from
Natural
that.
Born Killers on VHS. Now think about it.
It's
Try to pawn that shit, man.
I'm telling you. Yeah, there's that market, and that's a whole nother show itself. But oh my God, it's crazy how they're grading these like comic books now and all this stuff, and then the collectors, people come in and come out with 20 at a time,
Wow.
And so which is cool too, and a lot of them are younger, like they're in their teens, and you're just like, what? And I don't think they're watching them. I think they're collecting the box art, and just they got a cool collection on the wall of.
It's so weird when the stuff that you grew up with becomes vintage.
I know, and I'm like, back in my day.
Welcome to my world.
Like
right?
Walkmans, right? Like Stranger Things has made the Walkman.
Oh,
the It thing. They're selling on eBay for $500.
Yeah.
Can I just say I liked running up that hill before Stranger Things?
I like the placebo version.
yeah, I do too.
Yeah, it's sad when you get my age and you're just like, oh my God, it's like all the stuff they had. You're like, I should have kept and all.
Oh
that.
man, I
Who
feel
would've
that way
thought?
about the '90s resurgence right now. I'm like, I had that necklace,
real.
and now they're selling it for like
Polaroids.
$25.
I used to buy Polaroids at thrift stores for $5.
You can't buy disposable cameras now for less than $30 a
Right.
pop,
What?
and then you can't get them developed anywhere.
No,
You have to-
anywhere. Anywhere.
impossible.
My so our last event, my kid had one of those little wedding, disposables, right?
Yeah.
I don't know where she got it, but same thing. So the other day, I'm like, "Do you ever get developed?" She goes, "Yeah." I went to go there. It was like $35 for for a roll of film. I'm
You
like,
could go to CVS for like $7 and get it done in an hour.
And you're like, this one's shit. This one, my thumb's in it. My thumb's in that.
yeah, it's hilarious. We actually, the Polaroid thing's funny because we'll do that. We have a wall of souls. Like you come in the shop, we'll take a picture of it,
that's so cool.
kind of, and put it. But it's really putting little mini Polaroids back on the wall, and people are so excited about Polaroids.
So weird.
So once again, what is old is new again, you know? So, yeah, hold on to those CDs and those Blu-rays one day. Yeah, right.
One of these days.
One day. It's crazy.
Yes. So yeah, it's a fun shop. It's a cool shop, and I recommend all you guys coming by. Anybody's listening. So.
Shout out the Crossroads real fast for our Arizona listeners.
If you were here in the Arizona area or anywhere, we actually have people travel. We had 2 people last week that just drove from El Paso.
Oh, sick.
They had 2 days off, and we're like, that's a 6-hour drive. We need to see your shop. So, but yeah, you go to if you're in Chandler, which is a suburb of Phoenix. If you guys don't know, it's Alma School in Elliott, right there. It's a big. If you ever heard of Zia Records, and you heard of that, we were right across the street from those guys, and they're kind of the anchor out there, you know. And it's a fun little shop. It's fun stuff, man. Come in and get creeped out a little bit.
Well, we can definitely sit here and talk for multiple more hours, but we're going to end it here. But we would love to have you back again so we can continue talking.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, definitely.
But before we end out, where can the listeners find you on your social media so they can know about upcoming events and other stuff like that?
Super easy. It's just all one word, Terror Trader, across the board. Well, I don't have Twitter. I think Twitter's so toxic. I just can't do it anymore. But Instagram, Facebook, and the TikTok. Yeah, so TikTok, we're on there too. I learned that. I'm just learning that. Actually, TikTok's a fun social media platform. I'm having fun with it. I'm like late to the game, so it's embarrassing because I'm old. But yeah, so just at Terror Trader on all 3 of those, and yeah, some fun stuff. We have a good time. We were very social media heavy. I'm an idiot on there. I'm constantly doing stupid videos.
I love your goofy videos. It's so fun.
But I want people to laugh at it and have a good time, you know? I mean, like, even in the shop, too, I tell people to come in and it's like, we have a Smurf corpse. The only Smurf corpse in the world. You got to come see it. Straight
What did
from
that
France.
Smurf do?
How big is it?
Huh? You got to come find out. So at Terror Trader on all platforms.
Perfect. Well, now where can everyone find you guys?
You can find me, Hayley, on Instagram at 30 Nerdy Thriving.
Alex at ALCASNUN on Instagram and Twitter.
You can find me, Shauna Trinidad, at Shauna Trinidad on Instagram and Twitter. SHAUNATRINIDAD.
And then you can find me, Nicole, on Instagram and TikTok at Nicole_Eldridge and on Twitter at NAEldridge14. And then you can find the Pop Culture Junkie podcast over on our website, popculturejunkie.com. Facebook at Pop Culture Junkie Podcast, where you can join our Pop Culture Junkie support group. Twitter at Pop Junkies and Instagram at pop.culturejunkies. And if you missed any of that, just go to our website. It's all there. And like always, come back next week for another hit of pop culture.
Pop Culture Junkie is a production of Pop Culture Entertainment Group.